promotion. I'm the Senior Vice President of Promotion. I am responsible for getting all of our promotion business from record companies, artists, musicians, everybody. I am responsible for basically getting those songs played on the radio and then getting the money collected, which is sometimes the most difficult. Actually, that is the most difficult part of it all. So, my day primarily consists, Mondays and Tuesdays are primarily the days when I get the songs on the radio. I mean, that's the days where radio stations commit to the songs they're going to play. So Mondays and Tuesdays are a little bit my more busy days to get that done. Wednesdays are a lot of wrapping up the billing and everything from the Monday, Tuesday, putting the initial calls into the labels to find out what projects I can pick up for the next week. And then Thursday, Friday is calling the radio stations and getting set up to go to start getting those songs on the radio. That's a dog, isn't it?
That is a dog. They must be.
What questions do you guys have about what I do, radio, what we do, all that stuff? We'll go from there. Or easier, that'll lead us into other things.
Well, how do you go about getting the music on the radio?
On the radio, the biggest thing is, it's a sales job is what it is, and it is based mostly on relationships. I mean, these radio guys that I talk to, I've been in the music business for 20 years, and I've known a lot of these guys for 5, 10, 15, some of them for 20 years. And, basically it'll be, I know the radio station and, whether they lean rhythmic or rock, I know where they lean, so I'll whittle down my list of songs to 5 or 6 songs that really make sense for them, that fits with what they're playing. And then the conversation is, the first conversation I have with them is, what are you looking at this week? What do you like? What's out there? What are you hearing? And they'll give me 3 or 4 songs that they think are close to being put on the radio station. Hopefully a couple of those are already on my list, so I can take those 2 and kind of put them up in another category, knowing that those are close, and save those for later, because I can probably get those pretty easy. Then the other 2 or 3 songs on my list, it'll be, here's what's going on with this song. These radio stations are playing it. Here's the history. Here's the new stuff on it, and rattling all that down. And then that'll start taking place on Thursday. I'll start having those conversations. Then Friday, I'll have another conversation, and they may have gotten some research in, and they may have seen something else, and their list will change a little bit. And then Monday or Tuesday, when the final call is, it'll be, okay, what are you really looking at doing? And they'll usually have 2 or 3 songs, and they'll say, these are the 3 that I'm probably going to do. Hopefully they're on my list. And then there'll be a couple others that I'll push him for and say, listen, is there any way you can get this on this week? What are you looking at for next week already? And he'll say, well, these. I said, can you push this one up a week early? And it's just about the relationships that I have with them to be able to talk to them. And then building new relationships with new stations and new people that come in. That's the other difficult thing. You always got to be cultivating new relationships. But it's a sales job, just like any other sales job. It's all relationship based. And it's it actually can be a little more difficult than other sales jobs, because if you're selling, cars, you've got black and white things to sell this car. This car is better than this because it's better on safety. It's better. You have stuff you can go in there and sell. You have physical stuff that you can go in there and sell, and they'll tell you, I'm not going to buy that because of the safety rating, or I'm not going to buy that because of the money's too much. So you have black or white stuff. With this, it's usually, I don't know if I really like it. There's no reason to really. Sometimes they'll say, well, I'd really like to see it go on this radio station first to see them play it, and I'd like to see it reach this point on the chart. So those are some tangible things you can use, but more times than not, it's just like, I don't think it's right for my station. So it really comes down to good relationships to say, trust me on this one. I trust me, Tom. I've been doing this for a long time with you, and you know that I won't steer you wrong, and this is a real record for you. So that's what it is, a sales job.
How do you determine what method a certain song is appropriate for?
Well, you got to know you got to know the radio station. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, the good thing about being an independent is I get to work every project out there, so I can really pick 4 or 5 songs that are just right for that radio station. Whereas if I work for Columbia Records, I've got my 1 or 2 songs. Doesn't matter if it's right or not. I got to try to get them played on that station, whether it fits or not. And that can be very, very frustrating. I mean, if it's a rhythm song and the radio station really doesn't play a lot of rhythm music, you still got to make the call every week if you're that local person, that record company person, and try to get it played. With me, I can back burner it a little bit and say, I know it doesn't make sense for them for another couple weeks, for another couple months. I've got all these other projects that I can work on getting played there. And it really depends on the person too. I mean, each client, each radio station I have, each guy, It's different attitude, different way they want to be worked, different things, and that's over the years of working. You'll know what they look at. You'll know, okay, if it's a rhythm record, they're not going to touch it until it's top 30 on the chart. So I might as well not even really work him on it. Bring it up to him and say, make sure you're aware of this. It's going to be top 30 here in 3 or 4 weeks. Keep an eye on it. Keep listening to it. That's the next real cool rhythm song. You're going to need to look at it. But it doesn't make any sense to push them and push them and push them and push them when you know that they're not going to do it. And plus, you got other things you can get on there and get paid for. So it's really, really, really about relationships and knowing your clients.
What sort of qualifications do you need to work a song at radio? Like, what type of a song does it need to be? Where does it have to come from? Can anybody, get promotion?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, it can be anything. I mean, there's a couple things. Radio promotion has changed a lot in the last 5 years with the marketplace and how it's changed. As far as, 5-10 years ago, if you were going to get a song out there for people to hear and promote, 99% of that exposure came from radio. I would say still, probably 80% of that exposure still comes from radio, but it is shrinking. So what makes it difficult is if you're a small, independent artist, it's difficult if you don't have any of those other things in place. If you don't have the big marketing campaign, if you don't have the TV exposure, the internet exposure, it makes it a little more difficult. And the biggest thing is financially, because if you're an independent artist, you can hire me, but I only talk to 10 radio stations, and there's 140 top 40 radio stations out there. So I've got to go out and he has to hire 10 other companies like me, and at $3,000, that's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 minimal to just get going on a song. That's just what it costs. And a lot of people, will say, "Oh my gosh, it's so expensive." Well, if you're gonna make a bag of potato chips as Joe Blow, you can't just walk into the grocery store and say. I mean, you got to go through all the channels, and you got to hire marketing. It's just like any other product. It's expensive to get out there and market it, to get it out there. So yes, any song can be. I mean, the vast majority of our business is from major labels, simply because that is believe it or not, that's the vast majority of the music out there, especially that the mass population listen to. I mean, still, the major record companies comprise the vast majority of the music that the mass population consumes. Also, they do tend to get, the majors tend to have the mass amount of quality music, and I say that because as an independent starts to grow and get a base, the majors pick it up. So good stuff that's on independents get picked up by majors. Not to say there's not a lot of good music on independents, there obviously are, but if it becomes big and popular, a major almost always picks it up. So it eventually moves over to a major, which is when we're hired. So the majority of the stuff is from majors, but yeah, we'll take projects. If I hear a song that I really, really like, and I'll make it very clear to that artist or manager, listen, I like the song, I think it's great, it fits with radio, but you got to know what you're up against. The money that you got to throw at this, and how long it's going to take, and the financial commitment is very daunting, and the odds of being successful, are very, 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 very slim. But we do take projects.
So we'll take projects, regardless of maybe what they are, if they're willing to pay for the promotion, all that. What songs do radio stations actually play? What's so important to them? They're probably not going to play Joe Schmo, paying you to do this.
It's all about the program director, what he likes. I mean, most program directors, everybody says, "Oh, you got to get on a major label for a radio station to consider it." That's true from the fact that how else is he going to know about it? Because again, a small Joe doesn't have the promotion power to get that in front of the program director. Mm-hmm. So that's true from that. But if I went to a program director with 7 songs and 4 were on independents and 4 were on, and 8 songs and 4 were on majors, I threw them all down there, he's going to play the best ones. He doesn't care if it doesn't matter to him if they're majors or small. He's going to play the best ones for his radio stations. Mm-hmm. But the problem with independents, again, is getting it to the radio stations, which obviously is where we come to. And again, an independent label hiring me or a manager hiring me, I'm only getting to 10 radio stations. So he's got to hire me and 10, 12, 13, 14 other companies like us. Plus, the majors are hiring. The majors have their own staffs. They're hiring us. They're hiring all these other marketing companies. So you're not only getting it to the program director once, but they're getting it to him